Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 195 of the I Rock Knits podcast. My name is Cori Eichelberger, and I'm your host today, but I have guests. They drove out to Victoria to be in my little home studio here, and this is Laila and Kate, and they are from Knit and Gather. And I found them online about maybe a year ago, I think. And then you guys from Portland, right?
Yep, I'm from Portland. Kate's from Pennsylvania.
Right, but you were out there for Sacred Sheep, weren't you? Yeah, because I saw you there, and then I saw them again at Sweater Camp, and I was like, hey, you guys want to come on my podcast? And they have a really interesting concept that they're starting here in Minneapolis, where they're gathering people together to learn how to knit and doing lots of teaching and video tutorials. So we're going to talk about that part of their business, and then they also are designers, so they've done some design work, and we're going to talk about that too. So welcome.
Thanks for having us.
You're here. Yeah, for sure. They wore their hand knits, and so of course we're like, we got 5 sweaters on the screen. We're all ready. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about how you guys got into knitting? Like, how did you each learn to knit? Did you learn from one another? Yeah.
You want to start?
Sure. I did learn from my grandmother. It was my mom's idea, as she was not a knitter, but I was a very crafty kid. And my grandmother was coming to visit us, and my mom offered, like, do you want to learn how to knit from grandma? So I was like, sure. I was like in middle school. But yeah, we just went to a big box store, got some yarn and needles. I think I got acrylic and cotton to start, the cotton was tough, but I think she had a wool sensitivity, so she didn't knit with wool. So that was an interesting way to learn. But yeah, I made a weird hat and then kind of dropped it for a year and then picked it up again, and I've been knitting ever since, and especially since I started doing color work, I was like hooked. It was just very fun.
I have a note right here that says color work.
Color work,
all about the color work, which is my favorite too. Like, absolutely my passion. So for sure. So how'd you learn, Laila?
I actually learned in an after-school program in 8th grade. It was called Sun School in Portland. But my grandmother also taught knitting. I didn't know her, my Norwegian grandmother. So it was kind of in the family. But I didn't learn until this after-school program. I also made a hat. I have no idea how I learned how to decrease or anything at 8. Maybe the ladies just picked it up and did it. I don't know.
They might have just cinched in the top too.
No, but it's like round.
You have it?
I have it still.
Oh, good for you. I have my first.
Yours is better than mine.
It was
Do you
really
have yours
cute.
too?
I have it,
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's great when you have your first piece
thing.
and you can, keep it around and
Yeah,
remember.
it's kind of special. I remember feeling really cool wearing it. It's like, I made this.
Yeah.
But I kind of plateaued. I would pick it up and put it down throughout like my college age. And then actually in the pandemic, I moved to Minneapolis, and then I met Kate, took her color work class online, and then it's kind of exploded from there.
Okay, so
really
you've been
took off.
teaching for quite a while then.
Yeah, I used to live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I taught a little bit at a community arts center. But yeah, once I moved to Minneapolis in 2016, I started teaching through community ed, and that was really fun. And we still do that, but Laila has helped expand our teaching practices. But
So what brought you to Minneapolis? Each of you? Because this
really
is kind of
just
a hub for knitting. I mean,
It really is. It really is.
There's a lot of knitting here.
Yeah.
I was just ready to get out of Nebraska, and it was it was just time to.
Was there a job opportunity or?
No, I just wanted to live in the city. My parents are from Minnesota, so Minnesota is always felt like home. I went to college. I went to Concordia College.
Oh, okay.
In Moorhead, so I have a lot of friends in the cities.
Okay.
I think I traveled like 4 times in one season to Minneapolis. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I should just move. Yeah.
Yep. And I went to St. Olaf.
Oh, okay.
Then I moved back to Portland for about 5 years, and then I moved back. So
okay.
Yeah.
And did you come back for a job or just?
It was.
Or you knew that Kate was here?
No, I had no idea.
I know. I know.
It was the pandemic, and I was actually going to move to Norway.
Oh.
But then I couldn't. I was going to go to grad school there.
Oh, okay.
Because I could go there for free because I am a Norwegian citizen.
Okay.
So I was going to go to grad school there, but then the pandemic hit and I was living with my parents in preparation for this move. And then I was like, okay, I gotta get out of here.
You gotta go somewhere.
Love them, but
yeah,
I was like, where do I already have community? Where could I try and start something else new? So,
yeah. And so then what, were you teaching through Community Ed online when she took your class? Or were you, or was it a shop that was offering online?
It was through Community Ed.
Okay.
Yeah. I work at Ingebrigtson's, and I was teaching a little bit through there. But yeah, I was doing in person with Community Ed, and then we went online, which was interesting. It's a little tricky to teach knitting online, but I was doing the best I could. Because it was like it was nice that people were still taking classes during that time for a while.
Oh, for sure. I had a friend on not too long ago, and she started really teaching on Facebook Lives during COVID because there were so many people wanting to craft. They had crafted in the past really and they were home and they were stuck, and she really said, and her husband would video her and come over her head and hold the camera like that. When you started out, it would, like they didn't know what they were doing. And that's kind of how she started, and she has a pretty big following still over on Facebook, which was kind of a weird place to do it, but she said that's where people were at the time, and she gathered a lot of different, gather. It's in my head apparently. So what made you decide to start Knit and Gather?
Well, we were already teaching together, so we started teaching together in 2021. Kate was already teaching, and then I just kind of wanted to come along and be an assistant. So then we realized we could really help a lot more people one-on-one with two instructors, so we could have bigger class sizes and more one-on-one help, because we teach a lot of beginning. So it's a lot of hands-on, as you know. And then
it's been great having her. Like having two instructors.
So we were already teaching together, and then we kind of just decided to start our business officially in fall of 2023.
Okay. So when you are teaching beginning, what do you teach? What is the project? Do you just teach stitches, or do you just cast on?
We've experimented a little bit with this.
Yeah. So we start with the long tail cast on, and then get into the knit stitch. I do want people to be comfy with the knit stitch before they do anything else. So we do just a swatch. That's just nothing really. Just knit. And then we because we have both of us, and usually the classes are capped around 10. I think we've bumped up to 12 for a couple of them. If people feel ready to move on, then we'll teach the purl stitch, see if they can do stockinette.
Is that all in the first class? Is there only one class? How many?
So we do at least two.
Usually 2 or 3.
Yeah, I do 3.
Yeah, 3 is nice because then you can actually get into a project. So yeah,
but people can't commit to 4 in a row. Just so you know,
that's a good tip.
Like no, 4 in a row, they can't do it. They can't show up 4 times in a row at the same time on the same night. Like people are just busy, right? And
they are.
And 4 just never worked.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to do 4. Like it just would have fit because I do a hat. And so we make a hat. So I would like to have that 4th class because they never finish in 3.
I know.
No.
But then I always just meet them all one more time somewhere after to get it to try to get it finished. But
I know students are always like, "Oh, I wish we met again next week." And I've been surprised with Community Ed. Like people have been everyone's been showing up. To like
when we started, we would have no shows.
Yes,
or things like that. But it's not happening as much anymore. So.
And can I ask you how much you charge? What does Community Ed charge? Because you get paid through Community Ed. Do you know what a 2-time class is?
They're super reasonable. So for beginning knitting for 3 weeks, I think it was $35 a person.
Okay.
We did do an experiment where we provided materials and made a scarf the last time. So then that added a materials cost. But they, we're actually independent contractors with them now, so the pay is better, and then we can kind of make up some with materials too. Yeah,
people ask me all the time how I teach knitting, so I have a YouTube video out there that I did on how I teach knitting, what works for me. I was a high school teacher for 17 years in Wayzata for at-risk kids, so I have training in teaching, but it took
patience too.
Right,
everyone's like, you're so patient.
But like my favorite thing in the world is making a new knitter.
Yeah,
that's what Kate always says.
Like when their light bulb goes off and they're into like when you can tell that they're going to become a knitter, because not everyone does. I just love that feeling, right? So I have been doing 3 classes, and I do provide the yarn and needles for the hat.
It's
a
so
16-inch
helpful.
circular
to
buy, and they come with the wrong stuff. And anyway,
they don't know.
So they're charging 60 to 70 out here, and I
think that's reasonable.
Trouble filling classes. I live in a suburb, so there is money there. More money than when I taught at the library. Through the library system, I taught for free. The library paid me, but the classes were always free.
That's nice.
So it was, then I was serving a completely different population, because people who are looking for free classes, and they would provide the yarn and the needle, and then they'd have to turn the needle in at the end of the 3 weeks. But my classes were always full, and there was always a waiting list, because it was free. You couldn't get that deal anywhere, right? But the Friends of the Library system paid me. So because all classes in the Carver County system have to be free. That's how they do it. So then I was just constantly, getting people to come in and do the classes.
Yeah, it's good to get people into your network. That's kind of why we do community ed, because we've tried some advanced classes there, and it's really not it's not the environment.
But once you teach them in beginning, they stick with you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They come back.
We have a lot of repeat students, and they're lovely, and we love to see them.
We have been really lucky with people coming back, which is really, really nice. But I would say if we were hosting our own 3-week class, we would probably start at the $75 mark. Yeah. If we were hosting it ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
I
don't make all that, and I have to have 4 people, because they won't host it without 4, because then my cost is whatever. So in January it didn't go, in February it didn't go, and now in March it did, and I have 6 starting on Tuesday night. There's 6 in that class, and I had 2 more people contact me to see if they could get in. So it's interesting, because people want to know how they could get into teaching, how to teach beginners, how to teach a friend. They're always interested about, how much do you charge and how many classes do you do? So I like to kind of reiterate that.
We love talking about the nitty gritty.
Yeah. And teaching others, especially even just teaching friends, it'll make you a better knitter, because then you'll stop and really think about what you're doing, or how to fix things, because that's a big topic too. People want a fix-it class, which we're considering. So
that's really my most popular class that I teach.
There's only so many things that could happen, but it's also
we'll
how
try
you
and do that.
teach it.
Yeah.
So maybe in the fall.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's fun to come up with new concepts, and it was so weird taking my own knitting back to all of the specific muscle movements, like when you're showing a beginner. Yeah. Because it's like every micro step, you gotta walk it back. It's so fascinating.
Absolutely. So when did you start designing? When did you decide that design was something you're going to do? I didn't look at the dates of when your stuff was published, but you guys, it looked to me like you had quite a few designs out there. You have mittens, slippers, sweater, hat. You have the whole Karine, one, which we'll talk about. But
Kate is the original designer.
So I have a graphic design background that's still part of my day job. And as a young knitter, aside from my grandmother, I felt very self-taught. Like, this was before Instagram. I didn't know there was a huge community, and the community has grown since then.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time when I was starting, patterns were really intimidating to me. Like, I like math, but I think it was more than that. It was all the abbreviations, all the numbers.
For sure.
It was kind
another
of
class, how to read a pattern.
Yeah, it's like another language.
So I was interested to combine my knitting skills with my design skills and hopefully make patterns that are easy to follow and user-friendly. I did start with a colorwork mitten, which I wouldn't recommend doing.
Pretty funny.
Is your first written pattern?
But this is actually the 10-year anniversary of Arne Mittens. This was my first official pattern. So yeah, it was.
They're really cute.
Thank you.
Did you do them in multiple sizes?
No.
Or just adult? Just adult.
One size only.
Yeah. So they are a little bit big, but it's kind of the
Yeah.
Like the Norwegian.
Yeah. Yep.
You could have a liner under there, or
yeah. Oh, for sure. Because I do think that is one of the hardest parts about design is sizing.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Doing all the sizing.
I did one sweater. It's the Julbock, which I worked on. Yeah, over the course of years. It took a long time.
And so you did size this into multiple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it top down yoke construction?
Yep. Top down in the round.
It's the Scandinavian Christmas goat. If you don't know what a Julbock is.
So head, horn, little.
Yeah, kind of like
legs.
a ram.
Yep.
So it could be a holiday or anytime.
Yeah. Popular at Ingebrigtsen's, like I would think since that's. Oh yeah, okay. So I have people from that watch from all over the world. So
what is that?
Yeah, what is Ingebrigtsen's? You should probably. No, I didn't think of it in the moment either.
It's a Scandinavian marketplace in Minneapolis. It's on Lake Street. It started as a meat market, deli, and in the 70s they added a gift shop. Is that true?
Yep, and then in the 90s they added a yarn shop.
So they have yarn. A lot of people still don't know this, but they have yarn. Yeah. And that inspired me too. So it was when I actually wrote this pattern when I was in Lincoln, but I got the job at Ingebrigtsen's when I moved, and so they were the first store that carried the print pattern of this mitten.
So you've been there the whole time?
Yep.
Wow.
I have, yep.
Yeah.
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 And that's
cool.
That's where we met.
Yep.
Yeah. So I started working there in 2020 until fall of
recently
2025.
Yeah.
So they've been very supportive of Knit and Gather and of us teaching and carrying our patterns.
I haven't been into Ingebrigtsen's in a number of years, but I used to go in and I did buy yarn there in the past for a Norwegian sweater. I don't remember what I bought, but I'm gonna say it was.
Is it Roma?
Might have been.
Yeah, that's primarily what they carry. They primarily carry Scandinavian wool.
Yeah,
so.
That's probably
pretty
what
specific.
I bought. And are they still offering classes?
Yes.
Because there was a class for, I don't know if it was a Norwegian sweater, I assume, but there was a class at the time. Yeah.
They've revitalized their class program.
Okay.
Yeah, the classes have had some changes over the years, but yeah, we have a pretty active class schedule. Not a lot of knitting classes currently scheduled, but there's a lot of other great content. So
we will probably be teaching a color work workshop there in April. So
cool.
Yeah. To be scheduled.
Well, that's kind of the way it works. So you designed mittens first.
Yeah.
And then did it turn you off from doing the design right away?
I don't know. I think
work? Or did you just go right into your next one?
I feel like a slow designer because it does take time. I know it's something that can move faster. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I try not to teach. I try to emphasize in classes to mistakes are okay, and it's not nothing's going to be perfect. But it's hard when you're making something, especially a pattern. I feel almost protective of it, or protective of the knitter. I want them to feel held when they're following it. I don't, because I've worked with so many students and people are confused constantly by everything. So I just overthink all of the different parts of it, and I want it to be succinct. I don't want the pattern to be too long, but I want it to make sense. So I think with color work it can be a little tricky, especially with a mitten. But I was happy with the finished pattern, but I think I needed a break. And I still kind of feel that way after I make a pattern, that I almost need a break and want to see how it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have more ideas, but it's been fun. But Laila got into pattern writing also.
Yeah, Kate inspired me to
some cute
try. She taught me
Well, that
how
would
to
have been
make
helpful
charts.
if you have someone.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
no, for sure.
I've learned so much from.
I had
Kate,
two people that helped me when I first started out. Lisa Ross and Stephanie Latvin. I just reached out to them, and I was doing more teaching, and they were really moving along on pattern writing, and I had tons of questions. And so then when they wanted to start to teach, they reached out to me about contracts and amounts, and so that I felt like then I could give back to them a little bit. But without somebody to help a little bit, it is hard to kind of break into that whole thing.
Yeah, it is.
It can be, and we are learning more too about just how to facilitate tests and how to do all of that. And I think a lot of people still don't even know us as designers. We don't have that many designs, so that will just grow over time. Yeah, we did a retreat in Michigan. We were able to go on a little artist retreat, and that was when Kate did all the grading for the Julbock. But while she was doing that, I just made this little mushroom
mitten
forest chart with the moon, just for fun, and then I just wrote it up. So this was my first pattern. It's called the Harvest Moon Mushroom Mitten.
Very cute.
So I released it in fall.
You started with color mittens. Why
And
would you do it?
I only had one example to follow. That was my first pattern. And then
there's a real sense of accomplishment in that, though, when you do your first
fun.
one. I talked about it for a long time before I actually did it.
It is intimidating because there's there can be a lot of critiques of different elements of your pattern,
for sure. Well, and everybody's style is different, and so when people find someone that they like the way they there's no prescriptive format.
There's not.
No, everybody
there
does
really
their
isn't.
own and and there are people who really write more of a recipe. They're just like, this is how I did it. Go for it.
The Norwegian, Kate made a Norwegian colorwork sweater, and it's just it's one page. It's just do this. Add your increases in the chart. That's it. It's just okay.
Can be very
if you can do that, that's great.
So then I think this was my first hat pattern. I'm asking you, do you know if that's true?
I think so.
So this was the
that's
I'll
cute.
let this come up first.
I'll hold it.
This was the Reinrose Hat.
Super cute.
Very.
I feel like I am developing a style of the folded joined brim because I have at least 3 patterns that have this now. So I'm sorry if you hate it, but
but people can always do a single if they want.
They totally can.
Right,
I think I wrote that in this. You can just fold it up if you want. That's fine. This was one I put out through Quince & Co. The Valdres hat. This also has a joined brim, but same thing. You could just fold it.
That's one of your most popular.
This one had great
patterns.
Popularity.
Well,
to this day, which I'm
if you put it out with a big company that has a bigger
that was
reach,
nice.
And
that
they
can be so helpful.
reached out to Kate, I think, directly on Instagram.
This was an Instagram find. I just posted it, and then they reached out to me, which was great. It was the first company I'd worked with, so that was really fun. But I did make a coordinating Reinrose mitten that goes with this hat.
Oh, nice.
So this came out more recently.
The palm's really cute.
With the palm. With the knit and gather.
So did they send you yarn from Quince to knit it in, or had you knit it in Quince?
I knit it in Quince, and then they sent me.
Okay.
Of course, I picked the main color was a colorway that they didn't normally have, so it's slightly warmer. This is the actual sample hat, I think. So then they sent me this yarn, and I made this one.
Really cute.
But so that was fun.
Okay, I gotta tell the dog. Just a second. He's driving me nuts.
Is your vest one of your patterns?
It is.
Really
this
cute.
came out with Farmer's Daughter for Sacred Sheep.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
And, okay, I had to break here to go let the dog in because he was whining. So we're back. There's going to be a little blip there, but Chevy interruptions. You guys have known Chevy since he was a puppy, and I've held him on the podcast. But he was just whining at the gate. I don't know that you guys would have heard him, but we could hear him, and it breaks your heart because he's just like
he's here with us.
And look.
He's here.
He's
so
out.
Cute.
He's just out on the floor. So, okay, so let's talk about some more design stuff.
Okay, so this was our most recent series, and I actually was inspired by a really old picture I found in my Norwegian grandmother's. Yeah, so I found the picture. I actually don't know who the woman is. It's not my grandmother, probably a friend. And she's wearing these incredible ski socks. And so I just used the picture to make the chart.
Yep.
And so the first pattern that came out was the cowl, and we did partner with Fiber MacGyver on these, so this is in her yarn, and then there's 2 sizes for the cowl,
and that's using DK and Surrey.
Yep, so this is the Shanico DK and the Surrey DK, so it's designed to have the fuzzy contrast.
Yeah, let me
The
grab out.
next pattern was the hat.
Yes, which this is my hat, which I've shown on the podcast. But I had to put this in a bag because
It's so fuzzy.
it can catch.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was getting dirty.
Oh.
But look at, I don't know. Yeah. Like it is the fluffiest, softest. I like it so much better than mohair.
Yeah.
Mohair can be so scratchy for people. And so this is Susie's Surrey alpaca. And then I'm using her DK as well.
Here's the hat.
Yep. It's so cool. Can you talk about if people haven't done it?
I know. I had some, I don't know if it was one of the testers or just someone following the pattern, but they were a little bit confused. And thank you to my testers, because I didn't have the photos in the pattern yet of like the hat unfolded.
Yep.
So they were like, am I doing this right? And then one person even asked, like, did you invent this technique? And I said, no, absolutely not. I was actually inspired by a hat of several hats, but Laila made this one.
This is the Who Gives a Beanie by Yarn Over Everything. And
That's
I
really
love this
Three
hat.
different charts you can follow.
Yeah, it's inspired by
pretty cute.
the Who Gives a Crap toilet paper packaging, I think, which is really funny. But I have kind of I have a shallow head, so it can be hard to find hats that I like. So this style, like, really, where it just kind of sets.
Yep.
Really
I love the wide brim.
Works for
I
me.
love the wide brim.
So this has the same construction where you actually start here, work, and then change direction.
Yep.
To keep the color.
Yeah,
work.
so the same thing. You
unfolded.
start here, you go down, you do the color work, and then you come
And
up
the
around.
join,
Yep. But then
But
also
doing the charting so that
it
continues
matches. Like
once it's folded.
it matches once it's folded,
Yeah.
which I showed my knitting group on Thursday, and they were just like, "That's awesome. That's
has
just
been
awesome."
the most
That's what
popular knit and gather pattern
Oh,
to date.
for sure, for sure.
But also, I have to give a shout out to another pattern, the Nordic Mix sweater. Ralma worked with, oh shoot, what's her name? But it's called the Nordic Mix, and then she did a hat as well, and her hat is like this. So
It's the
there's
same
other-
construction.
if you like
Yep.
this,
Yes.
there's
There
other
are-
hats
yeah.
out there that have this like.
We have to
No,
give
but
full
everyone
color
should.
back.
But you both publish your patterns under your first and last name, which is what Ravelry prefers, right? So under
We have
your
our own
pattern name, it will have their first and last name.
Yeah.
It's you also have Knit and Gather, which I also have iRock Knits Designs.
Yeah, we have
but
like the knit and gather
on your
store.
pattern page, they want you to have your first and last name listed. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Those and you have leg warmers.
Yes. So
Yes.
this is actually the
Yes.
first thing I designed with the chart, because I was basing it off of the ski socks. So I made the full chart,
So cute.
Yeah.
and the numbers worked out well. And this is in two colors of the Fiber MacGyver Shanico DK. This is Sage and Roasted Pecan. But yeah, I love these. I really just made them for myself because I wanted something to wear when my coat ended on walks.
Yes. No, for sure.
And yeah, so I just made a pair for myself, and I was like, these are so fun. This chart is so fun. It means a lot to me.
Was it easy to make the chart repeats work for the hat and the cowl?
The cowl, actually, the small size is the same
Circumference.
repeat as the legging, so that one's designed to be very close to the neck.
Because sometimes a large repeat is hard to size.
Yeah.
Really
and
hard to
then
size.
For this, I just added one repeat to make this a bit roomier.
Yep.
This is 44 stitches, I believe.
The repeat.
So send
Yeah.
that to you
Yep.
as
Yeah.
you're following the chart.
Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, the hat, I think I made 3. The first one I tried with just two repeats, too small, and then I did the 3. And I did try to write it without joining the brim, but it was way too flopsy. So I'm sorry. This had to happen.
It needed the structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the structure.
No,
fits.
the brim
But
is
yeah, the-
the brim is the best part. Like it's so awesome.
It's
like,
kind of vintage. It's kind of like 80s ski chalet.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
sizing for the hat was a little tricky, but again, it's just a 3 repeat, and it is the same as the larger cowl size.
No, I think it's 2026 fashion forward.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, one size.
I'm
but you
gonna
could
make
adjust,
several.
If you want to adjust sizing for this, I would recommend switching up the yarn or needle size.
Just go up a needle size. Yeah, that would make, I think, would make it pretty easy.
Yeah, you can definitely change the sizing a bit. And
I don't think the Surrey on a cowl would bother people as much as if this were mohair. Now, granted,
definitely not.
You can do it flat without Surrey and it's beautiful, but this and
so
this
cozy.
Are so, in person, they are so fuzzy, like, but it's not scratchy. There's none of those little hairs that itch like in mohair.
Yeah, I love the cowl.
And it's
so
heavier.
soft.
The actual yarn Surrey is heavier than a mohair lace weight.
It does have a little bit of that alpaca drape.
Yeah.
So that's something
it's
to
really
consider.
nice. Really nice. So you designed the leg warmers?
I made the chart, and then I did the leg warmers and the cowl, and then Kate took the chart
and
made
did the hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
asked permission. I was like, can I make a hat?
Collaborative.
Yes. No, yeah, that's awesome.
And I love the hat. I wear mine all the time.
Yeah. She got the
Excellent.
original.
Last year, I wanted to design a pattern for Pride because I have looked through what's available and nothing really strikes my fancy, and no shade to any of the other Pride patterns, but it's also hard because Pride is in June.
Yep.
And so you don't really want to wear knits necessarily. Yeah.
So
no,
show
there are a
these
lot
because
of,
these are really cute.
yeah, there are a lot of cute ones, but I was kind of looking for just a style that was a little more summer friendly. So yeah, I made the Pride Bandana. So it does have
really
7
cute.
colors, which is more of the traditional
Rainbow.
instead of the Pride flag. But I think it's fun because you can just mix and match your colors. You can use scraps. And then Kate made a sample in black. So you can wear it either way, and I can tie it.
Did you use minis or did you use scraps?
No, but it would be perfect for minis.
Yeah.
Or for Advent.
yeah,
Advent
like
yarn.
a gradient. They could do all purples.
Yeah, and you don't have to
whatever.
do rainbow.
Right.
You know?
But you should.
Pride pattern. So,
Yeah.
I think we had scraps, so we were able.
Yep.
yeah,
able to
we
use
have
that.
a lot of stash yarn, and yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a really fun one, and then it just has a little bit of a garter texture at the bottom, and then I do have in the pattern you can make a little I-cord loop.
What waist is it? What weight is it?
It's worsted,
Okay.
or like light
Yep,
worsted.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were actually able to use this pattern to raise some money for mutual aid recently.
Okay. Nice.
And we do donate a portion of the proceeds all year
Yep.
long
Yep.
as well. So this will be great because it's kind of its first big Pride season this year, because I released it, I think, on June 1st
Okay. Yep.
last year. So this will be really fun, and we're going to do a knit along starting in April. So this is the
great.
Pride Bandana.
Now, last year, this is just an idea, but last year they did the bandanas for Shepherd's Harvest.
Yes.
So maybe they could do another one with this.
Yeah, that would be really great.
You guys know Emily, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be, because she kind of headed that up like last minute.
she
was
did.
like, hey, let's all wear a little
started
bandana
one.
so
I
we
didn't
can
finish it.
gather. But
Yeah.
it was kind of last minute. It was pretty quick to get
She
it
did
done.
involve us, but because she knew we were vending.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and we'll be vending again this year.
But yeah, this would be perfect for Shepherd's Harvest.
yeah.
Because it can be hot
you
or
could wear it.
freezing.
Yeah, you could also wear it like on any bandana, like on your head, or
Oh, for sure.
you could fashion it
really
into a
cute.
pride top if you wanted.
Yeah.
And then this is
I
one
would totally have done that back in the
Back in the
day.
day. There
But
you go.
yeah, I would have tied
It's a
that
shirt,
baby. Yep.
yeah.
No, for sure.
go for it.
Somebody should have been.
Why not?
We're
And then this
nice.
is in testing right now. So I think this year we're actually going to be doing a small series of Christmas patterns. So
Nice.
this is in testing right now. I'm calling it the Scandii Stocking. So it's colorwork stocking, knit in chunky. So it's pretty quick, and then it's very sturdy. And I think the colorwork kind of helps it not to stretch out over time.
What yarn did
hopefully.
you use?
This is the Alpha Slopey.
Okay,
So it's
yep.
the chunky
Yep.
loopy.
Yeah. Nice.
And you can make 2 stockings. If you get
3 skeins.
3 skeins, you can get 2 stockings out of it, no matter which color combo
Nice.
you choose. So this is in testing right now.
So do you guys have a plan for how many things you might do for Christmas? Or are you going to do like one a year? Or are you going to do several in this collection?
I think we're going to try and do at least this one and maybe 2 others this year. Is the goal. Kate has a mini stocking.
I have a mini stocking pattern that is...
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and then I also made a pet version of this that's kind of like mid-size. So
I have a pet. Chevy has one.
Yeah.
With my original.
Actually, my friend
Christmas stocking.
commissioned me to make a set for her family, which is what inspired this. Shout out to Emily.
Now this might be weird, but you know what would be kind of fun in this pattern, in that chunky yarn, is placemat.
Yeah, it's very
you
sturdy.
know, like
it's
that's what I was
really,
thinking. Like you know, just
really
2
cute. With a
placemats
tight
would be
gauge.
kind of cute with just a couple across the middle and a little thing, and
Yeah.
especially like if I always think about grandmas want to knit for their grandkids for Christmas, but they don't want to knit sweaters, right?
Yeah.
But they want
Or
something,
clothes even.
yeah, right, because that's just a lot, especially if you have, but like doing something that they could
gifty
have,
thing.
that would be kind of, that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, and so we also want to do, well, I want to do a mini mitten garland.
Oh,
So it'll be like a set of 4 to 6 little mini mitten shirts that you can mix and match and make a garland.
cute.
So
Is another thing I wanted to just briefly chat about is that the slow fashion movement is so iconic for knitters and sewers. However, the pattern publication movement is fast fashion, right?
True.
We are
It is.
expected to not expected. If you want your pattern to be your patterns to be seen, you always have to be coming out with something new. Like it's constant. And I would love to slow that process down, but a pattern has a shelf life of about 3 weeks, where it can be hot right now for a couple of days. It can be popular for a couple of days for most designers. Now, there are a few that go viral, and if someone could tell me which ones those were, and how I could make one go
Let us
viral,
know.
that would be great. Like if we could just know that we're designing the lento and it's a top-down raglan and everybody wants to knit it, right? Like I'm just like, you know.
It's on my needles, actually.
I knit one too, right? Well, because Susie was doing that knit along and they wanted some people, some designer teachers to be on the Zooms for people who were knitting their first sweater. But like, you know, the shelf life is so short.
Yeah.
It's like constantly the new thing. And everybody wants to knit what's viral, right? Whether or not they like the design, we want to be a part of that community that's knitting that hot thing, right? In that moment. And so I feel like I'm just a shout out to knitters and designers out there that we could slow down a little. We can slow down a little on the publication, and I'm guilty of it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing a pattern every month for this whole year with these dumpling bags, but on top of it, I'm also designing other things that are also coming out, and I wouldn't have had to do those other things too, but you get on this treadmill of. And I think as a designer, you have lots of ideas.
Yep.
So you're excited about the next thing, finding that. Are you guys sewers too? Do you do sewing? Do you want to sew clothes?
Sew her, but
You know, and I think we all believe in that slow fashion, you know, premise.
Yeah,
But-
it's the customization too. That's the part that appeals to me. Is like I can make exactly what I have in my mind, instead of trying to find it and feeling discouraged.
So tell me about what the sweaters you're wearing, too.
So this is the Rumble Raglan Tee by Lydia Morrow.
Cute.
She lives in Glasgow.
Okay.
She has such cool patterns.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw someone wearing this at Shepherd's Harvest last year, which is one of the big Minnesota fiber festivals, and it's just like a kind of a classic tee. And
I'm following her.
yeah, I figured you would.
But
She has a pretty big following.
But I didn't recognize her first and last name. But
Yeah.
what Lydia made. It's
What
really
Lydia
cute.
made. Yeah, and so I saw someone wearing this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make that now.
Did you have to stop them and ask them what it was?
Yeah.
Or did you just take a
No,
picture secretively
I had
and
no idea.
Google image it?
I think actually
I saw photos
Susie,
later
like
when
I
she got
saw
tagged.
her, and then she was tagged, and then she said what it was.
Okay.
Because I had never seen it before. It is actually a pretty popular pattern.
Okay.
Like now that I've made it. But I thought the pattern was excellent. The sizing, like this pattern is super in-depth. And then she has an update with optional bust shaping. So it's the first time that I had done that, which I really enjoyed. And it's fingering, so it's, took time, and you have to, if you opt for the 3 colors, you kind of have to keep track of the chart yourself. But
it is short sleeved, which helps.
It was a challenge. Fingering. I learned a lot making it. I love it. So
yeah, it's very cute. Yeah. This is the Bergman by Kylen Hunter. Most people probably know her. But I used Pishkun for the first time for this dark green. I think it's Den, which I do really like.
Which is from the Farmer's Daughter.
The Farmer's Daughter, yeah. And this light green, or this weird, it's called Strange Brew, and it was from Magpie Fibers, and I found them at Sacred Sheep a couple years ago.
And I think they're out of Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing my fully invested, and I have on the biggest size today because I made a large size for people to be able to try them on. And so I have on the bigger size. It's kind of oversized. It's very sweatshirty. It feels comfortable.
This green. It's so cute. It's almost.
And so this is in the Pishkin DK. Yeah. Nice. And I talked about it, but the repeat is tiny, and every row is too high. So you know what to do on the next row, because if you have 2 greens below it, you know it's white. If you have 1, you know it's So the repeat is super simple. It looks like a lot of wow, that would be a lot of color work. It's 2 2 1 2 2 1 and then 2 3 2 3. The whole thing, right?
Easy.
So it's super simple, which I love, and why my dog is named Chevy.
Yeah. Because
of the chevrons, because I love a chevron. And you want to talk about the sweater that's on the mannequin behind you?
Sure. Yeah. And this is the Dreyma by Jennifer Steingass. Knit Love Wool, right?
Yep.
Yep. It's actually the first pattern. I bought it along with the pattern a long time ago, but we were doing a sweater class where we have everyone choose from a selected group of patterns, a top-down.
Yeah, it's kind of experimental. It's fun.
Pattern, and then we all, make our sweaters together, and we help guide you through the process of what a top-down sweater looks like. So I was able to knit this pattern finally, and I was inspired by Lincoln Newman's colorway as a Norwegian designer that I really like. So, and it's knit in Lopi, which also.
So how many choices do they have for sweaters to pick from?
I think they have like up to 9
patterns. And are they all color work?
No.
Oh,
There's a handful of single color and a handful of color work to choose from.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you're new to color work.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, I guess the slight difference of it'll either have a raglan or it'll be like a color work yoke. But similar enough that it can be in the class.
Yeah. That's cool. That's
we're in the middle of one right now. Yep. It'll be week 3 on Tuesday.
Oh, so. Yeah. And how many people are taking that?
We did cap it at 8. We ended up adding an extra person because of interest. So we have 9, but it's
that's awesome. It's 9 people, new sweater knitter, new color work knitters. That's why I asked.
A good number.
Yeah,
I think we wouldn't probably do more than that.
Yeah, no,
just because
your back gets sore because you're around it.
We want to give
you guys are young, but when I teach, I'm around the table like this the whole time, bending over next to them, and I'm just like, whoo.
Yeah, that's why
it's physical. It's shocking how physical it can be to go over and help every person that needs you to look up close at their knitting. Right?
We have a pretty competent group, so it's also fun for us because we can play around and talk about advanced things, and it's really fun.
That's cool.
We kind of designed our business in a way that we didn't have to rely on just one thing necessarily, because we were like, we can't teach full time, or we can't teach more than we already are basically alongside working. And so we kind of have Knit and Gather as 3 parts. So patterns is 1 part, teaching is 1 part, and then
products.
We started making our own notions and stickers, and then we also sell notions from other people to our students and at events. So it started with gauge tools. This is the original. It's an American toad. I just thought that gauge tools could kind of be a little cuter, a little more whimsical.
Yes.
There are a lot of cute
There
ones.
are a lot of cute ones out there already.
So just to put our own spin on it, basically.
Yep.
So it started with the toad, and then we thought
Everyone
mushroom,
loves a mushroom.
yeah, would go well with the toad. And this one's great because it has the dual functionality. So it has the needle gauge, and then it has the
Row gauge.
project gauge.
Yep.
2-inch window.
2-inch, and then we made a 4-inch, so we made a cloud.
Okay.
This one is the one I find myself reaching for
Use it a lot.
the most often because almost every pattern uses a 4-inch gauge.
Yeah.
So I love this, and I just find the window just really makes calculating gauge super
So are
easy.
you making these yourselves?
We are making these. We did a Kickstarter a few years ago to get our laser tool, so we have it, and that's
we make all
I spent a lot of time in our garage studio cutting wood and working on leather too. But these are super fun, and I've streamlined the design a few times since we first put it out, but I'm pretty happy with where we're at now. And just a quick thing about a gauge tool, most knitters have one in their bag, and I don't care what you have, but if you don't have one, I think you should have one. And something I've been reaching to it for more often than physically measuring my needle sizes, because we know it's on the needle, most needles. Over time it can wear off, or
you've inherited a
mystery needles.
Yep.
But I follow a lot of Norwegian patterns and European patterns, and they use the millimeter size, which is fine. But sometimes they don't have both the US and the millimeter listed either in the same place or all the time in the pattern. So it's just nice at a glance to just reference so the millimeter is below and the US is above. So just to look at a physical object and see what needle size that is. I think it's super handy. So that's my sales pitch on the gauge tool.
Yeah. And then we've just started expanding into leather as well. This is a custom sheath that we made for Dandelion Fiber in Minneapolis. This is their logo. So we can use the laser to cut and engrave the leather, and then Kate hand finishes them
You're
all.
hand sewing those?
Yep, hand stitched and hand finished.
So we're trying to
it's
figure out
definitely
if
the
we
most
can
labor-intensive,
not hand sew them,
we'll
but
see.
as of now we are. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're also shipping
Yep. And then we have
probably daily.
Yeah, we're
close to
shipping.
that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then we also
fair.
design our own stickers, and so we sell retail and wholesale. So we have some quilt stars. We have some. This is the Arne Mitten.
Pretty
The
close.
sticker.
Inspired by it.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's
I
a little
know, yeah.
different. Yeah, so this has been really fun.
And are you printing those yourself too?
No.
Okay.
These we order.
Yeah.
but-
No. Yeah.
And we're actually gonna be launching a new product collection for Shepherd's Harvest.
Awesome.
So we're working on that right now.
That's cool.
And it's all at knitandgather.com if you saw something you liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really cool. For sure.
So that's kind of our 3 streams.
Yeah. Now, multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All the time.
time.
Then you're also doing these things at the Toolbox Collective, right? And you're having on the third Thursdays you have something, and then you have this fiber swap coming up that we want to hit on.
Yeah.
Because this podcast should go up Monday night at midnight. They're always up on Tuesdays every other week. So I wanted to talk about that so that you could get the word out. Because I do have a lot of Minneapolis people who watch.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we just started co-hosting a craft night every third Thursday. And the Toolbox Collective is basically just a collective of artist studios in Longfellow, Minneapolis. And they just have a big communal space alongside private artist studios. And so they are having open studio night where all of the studio artists can show what they're working on. And then we are hosting the craft night element. So it's just drop in 6 to 8, bring your own craft. Any craft is welcome. There's tables and comfy chairs.
Yeah, they have a watercolor happy hour before that. So people have been doing watercolor. If you want to bring that, one woman brought her beaded jewelry earrings in that she was working on. So it's just cool to see what people are making.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many can the space accommodate? Like, can it grow? Like, do you feel
it's
like
not huge.
but But can like 20 people be in there?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say
nice.
Comfortably up to
I haven't
20.
been there.
And there's a mix of seating. If you need a table, there's a table.
And it's called the Toolbox Collective, so somebody could look it up online to find directions or
it's
that kind of thing.
It's on 34th Street in Longfellow. It's across from a Turtle Bread that's been there, I think, for a long time. So that's a good reference point for a lot of people.
But the owners of the Toolbox Collective actually started, like, the Toolbox Collective and Knit and Gather are almost the exact same age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's cute.
So, which I think is really cute because we love them and we teach there a lot because it's basically just a space that we can rent.
Okay.
And so we've had to build up our own following to host these classes there, but it's a great deal for us if we can fill a class. Which we have been mostly doing. So we love working with them.
Excellent. Yeah. And then you're having this fiber swap.
Yes, and so the fiber swap is actually...
Or they are. I don't know who's in charge of it.
We're doing that one at Open Studio Sewing, which is our friend's fabric shop in St. Louis Park.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be...
Also newer.
New. I don't think it's even been open a year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cool. So, and she specializes in sewing classes, and we've also taught some knitting and crochet there as well. But, so you can bring fabric or yarn, books, notions, and it'll just be a free swap on March 15th. Yeah, 11 to 1.
Yeah, so are you bringing stuff to drop off and then take other people's stuff, or can you just leave stuff there? Like,
you can leave. So
like if you don't need more fabric, but you just have some you'd really like somebody to use, you could kind of bring it in and be like,
yes, absolutely. We'll be taking any extra stuff for the little free craft library that we co-sponsored at the Toolbox Collective. So anything that's not taken, all of it will be free. Come and if you don't have anything to bring, you can still come and take, and then we'll just take anything left over.
That's awesome.
And we'll give it out through that free craft library.
Awesome. That's great. That's really cool. So what are your kind of dreams for the future? Like what do you kind of envision for the future? Just all parts of your business and just kind of staying in the industry? Or do you have like dreams for something like a space or a shop or a store or
Yeah, that's a good question. I personally am not at this time after getting a physical store. Some people, I think with all the different names of places, some people are like, oh, I drove by your store. And I think they're thinking of Knit and Bolt. And I love them. But it's like, we don't have a copy. We don't have a physical store. And maybe someday, I don't know, but for now
it's not the direct path right now.
And so many people are doing such lovely yarn, and I'm excited to work with more.
We're not going to be dyeing yarn either.
I think there's enough of that out there. So it's nice to just collab with other designers and other yarn makers. And I mean, one of our goals now is just to work with other designers and yarn dyers, especially on like our level, like local, smaller scale people doing these things.
The community aspect has been the most gratifying, and it's helped us build so much, just making connections. I mean, we met you, and it's just been so fun, and there's so many great people here.
There are a lot, and I have interviewed a lot of the local people on the podcast, and that has helped for people to find people locally, right? Because last year at this time, I had Teresa from Get Ben's Farm out, and she did. I know, she's so fun.
Back to goals is like, we really would like to do this full time and just have it be something that can sustain us. That's the goal right now.
For sure.
I think if I would benefit from giving myself deadlines. Like, there's no one holding me accountable, and maybe for other designers, I don't know what level they're at, who they're working with, if they are, or if that is what they're striving off of, they have to have that for themselves. I just don't have that right now. And I don't want this crap. This is my passion. This has been, I remember getting like an almanac, this weird calendar as a gift when I was a young knitter, and seeing, it was just inspiring to flip through it and be like, oh, these are like professional knitters. Like, how do you even do that? So to be even where I'm at now, not that we're surviving off of this.
No,
It's really exciting. So I just don't want that to die, and I don't want to like strangle all of, like be forced to make a pattern a month. So I'm not at that point, and I hope to never be if I can help it.
And that's what I say too. I still find joy in doing all the parts of it right now, right? Exactly. I've been doing it now for 10 years full time, and longer before that, but just piecemeal. But I still don't ever mind getting up and being like, I have to go to the computer today, and I have to check emails, and I have to send out some contracts, and I have to write the patterns. That's not the knitting part, but I'm not, it's not drudgery yet, right? The day that becomes like, wow, I just don't want to do that part anymore, right? Write the newsletters. But I like and what you guys are doing too, there is a lot of diversity on the table, right? Like, so you're not just doing the one same thing all the time. Like if I had to just design every day or just teach, every day, but there's some stuff to do there. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and we're doing it all ourselves right now. So it's a balance, but the fun thing about the products is it's connected us to so many different yarn stores too.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like each part connects us with different people in the industry, and it's
we're so fortunate in Minnesota to
so
have so many. So many, and they're doing well. Like they all have their own kind of niche of
their own vibe
thing. So people can really find the place that they feel most comfortable, I think, and where their needs are being met, which is really cool too. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming. This was a lovely chat. You guys can go over to their website, knitandgather.com, and check out all their products. You can check out their patterns on Ravelry, and buy a pattern today, because every time that little ding goes off, it makes our heart happy. It makes our heart so happy.
Schedule too.
I want their schedule, your shop, all that stuff. This has been really fun, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye. Thanks, Cori.